Along. Okay, welcome back. Um, Question number 26. We elect a president for how many years? We elect a president for how many years? We elect a president every 4 years. In what month do we vote for a president? In what month do we vote for a president? November. We elect a president in November. The next election is going to happen on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. It always happens on a Tuesday. We will elect the next president in the year 2024, and it always happens in the month of November, beginning of November. And we will either re-elect President Joseph Biden, or we will have a new president elected. It depends on how people vote. Okay. What is the name of the President of the United States? Question 28. What is the name of the President of the United States? The President is Joseph Biden. What is the name of the President of the United States now? The President is Joseph Biden. Question 29. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States now? What is the name of the Vice President of the United States now? The answer is the Vice President is Kamala Devi Harris. The Vice President is Kamala Devi Harris. Question number 30. If the President can no longer serve, who becomes President? If the President can no longer serve, who becomes President? The Vice President becomes the next President. The Vice President becomes the next President. And right now, our Vice President is Vice President Kamala Devi Harris. Okay, question 31. If both the President and the Vice President can no longer serve, maybe they're in an accident or maybe something else happens to them, the Speaker of the House would become the next President. The Speaker of the House would become the next President. Although I do want to say, to add context, to add meaning to this, is that uh, the president and the vice president have a security in place to help minimize problems if they work together. And also, if it's an important meeting, sometimes they're not together. And extra precaution and security is around them all the time. But you never know. I've never heard of the president and the vice president being together in a plane, for example, at once. So I think this is probably not going to happen. But if it were, it's in place that the Speaker of the House would then become the next president. Question 32. Who's the commander in chief of the military? Who's the commander in chief of the military? The president is the commander in chief of the military, or he is the leader of the military. He, with his advisor, the Secretary of Defense, they would make decisions about when to send soldiers abroad, and decisions about war and stuff would he would be number one in leading the military in conjunction together with his Secretary of Defense make those decisions, and of course other advisors, military advisors. 33. Who signs bills to become laws? Who signs bills to become laws? The president. The president signs bills to become laws. So he signs bills, and then once he signs them, they become laws. Okay? But again, question 34. He also has the power to veto the bills. That means not sign the bills. So who vetoes bills? The president vetoes bills. The president vetoes bills. So who vetoes bills or says, I'm not going to sign it? The president vetoes bills. And this is part of his job as being part of the executive branch. Question 35. What does the president's cabinet do? What does the president's cabinet do? What does the president's cabinet do? The cabinet advises the president. The cabinet advises the president. What does the president's cabinet do? The cabinet advises the president. And the cabinet is made up of 15 positions plus the vice president, 16 in total. 15 positions plus the vice president, secretary of agriculture, secretary of commerce or business, secretary of defense, secretary of education, secretary of energy, secretary of health and human services, secretary of homeland security, immigration stuff, for example, secretary of housing and urban development, urban development, secretary of interior, that has to do with parks and our environment, our land, secretary of labor, secretary of state, secretary of transportation, secretary of treasury, the economy, secretary of veteran affairs, attorney general, has to do with legal issues in a country, and of course the vice president, who's number one top advisor in this group, okay, or number one in the list of importance. 15 positions and the vice president. This is the cabinet. For your interview, you have to know what are two cabinet level positions. And here are the examples. But if you want to know more, you can always Google who is the Secretary of Agriculture, who is the Secretary of Education, or who's the Secretary of Energy, for example. Okay? And here's a picture of the current cabinet. These people are the president's advisor. Here's the president, here's the vice president, and here are the cabinet members. Here's the Secretary of Economy or Finances. Here's the Secretary of Transportation, and many others here. Okay? Alrighty. So before we continue, I would like to go back and do one thing that we always do for this class. And what we do is we review, because review helps us learn things better. It helps us when we're nervous to not forget. And so it also helps us to read the question. It also helps us to answer the question. So today we're talking about the president, the person who lives in the White House. So question number 26 again. We elect a president for how many years? We elect a president every 4 years. We elect a president for how many years? We elect a president every 4 years. In what month do we vote for a president? We elect the president in the month of November. We elect the president in November. The next election in 2024 will happen on Tuesday, November 5th. It always happens on a Tuesday. We will elect the next president. We'll either re-elect President Joseph Biden or we'll elect a new president. Question number 28. What is the name of the president of the United States now? What's his name? The president is Joseph Biden. The president is Joseph Biden. He's our current president. Question 29. What is the name of the vice president? The vice president is Kamala Devi Harris. The vice president is Kamala Devi Harris. 30. If the president can no longer serve, who becomes the president? The vice president becomes the next president. The vice president becomes the next president. 31, which has never happened, but it's in our civic questions and it's also written in our Constitution. If both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes the president? The Speaker of the House would then become the next president. The Speaker of the House would become the next president. And our current Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. Question number 32. Who is the leader of the military? Who's the commander-in-chief of the military? Who's the commander-in-chief of the military? The answer, The president is the commander-in-chief of the military. The president is the commander-in-chief of the military. Question number 33. Who signs bills to become laws? Who signs bills to become laws? The president signs bills to become laws. The president signs bills to become laws. Question 34. Who vetoes bills? Who says, I'm not signing the bill, I'm going to veto it? The president vetoes bills. The president vetoes bills. And this, remember, he's part of the executive branch. Okay, question 35. What does the president's cabinet do? What does the president's cabinet do? They advise him. The cabinet advises the president. The cabinet advises the president. So what does the president's cabinet main job? Their job is to advise the president. Okay, again, question 36. What are two cabinet level positions? Here they are: agriculture, commerce, defense, education, energy, health and human services, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of the Interior, of Labor, of State, of Transportation, Treasury, Veteran Affairs, Attorney General, and the Vice President. Okay, and again, here's a photo of the current cabinet, the president's advisors. This is the cabinet. Alrighty. Okay, we reviewed this week's questions, but I also would like to review last week's questions because it's important to become familiar, to know them well, so that when you're sitting in front of the interview officer, you are not nervous and you are ready to rock and roll. So question number 13 from last week is, name one branch or part of the government. And remember, there's three: the legislative, the executive, and judiciary branch. Legislative is made of the House and the Senate. The executive is made of the president. We've been talking about him. And the judiciary is made up of the Supreme Court, or the 9 justices. And their job is to read the laws, interpret it, explain it to the people. Okay, question number 14 is, what stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? There's 3 branches: the legislative, the executive, and judiciary branch, and they hold themselves in check and balance. And here's the answer: a system of checks and balances, and a system of separation of power, so that not one power becomes more powerful over the other. That stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful. So the president cannot be more powerful than the Congress or the judiciary branch, which is made up of the 9 justices. Okay, question number 15. Who's in charge of the executive branch? The president. This guy, President Joseph or Joe Biden, is the current president of the United States, and he is the leader. He's in charge of the executive branch. Question number 16. Who makes federal laws? That is Congress. They're also known as the Senate and the House of Representatives, and they're also part of the U.S. legislative branch. Okay, 17. What are the 2 parts of Congress? The Senate and the House of Representatives. And before we continue, how many senators do we have? And how many people of the House of Representatives do we have? Do you remember? Do you remember? All right, here we go. How many U.S. senators are there? We have 100, 2 per state. 2 times 50 equals 100 senators. Okay, and how often do we elect them? We elect U.S. senators every 6 years. Sorry about that. Every 6 years we elect a U.S. senator. Okay. Who is one of your state U.S. senators? If you don't know, you Google it. Who is my U.S. senator, or who is the U.S. senator of the state of blank? State of Wisconsin, state of Illinois, for example. I have provided some examples. For example, Minnesota has 2 They're both women, Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith are the two senators of Minnesota. And remember, their job is to represent all the people of the state. Their job is to represent all the people of the state. Okay? I also gave you example of the two senators of Iowa, the current senators of Iowa, and they're Ernest Grassley and Joni Ernst. And I also have a student from Texas, so Ted Cruz and John Kernan are the senators of Texas. If you have questions, if you want to ask me, if you want help, email me, send me a private question, and I will help you with your specific answers for your specific state. Feel free to touch base with me. Okay, the House of Representatives has how many voting members? There are 435 members, and that depends on how many people live in the state. So the more people in the state, the more House of Representatives you vote for, and you send to Washington, D.C. to help pass bills and pass laws. Okay, so they are the designers, the authors of bills that later, if they get voted by the president, then they become laws. And the more states, the states with more people, more population, have more representatives, like California, Florida, Texas, Washington State. They have larger, more people, so they have more representatives. The smaller states only have one. But to reconcile that, the founding fathers decided to have 2 senators per state to try to have a system of equity. We elect a U.S. representative for how many years? We elect them for 2 years. We elect them every 2 years. Okay. 23, name your U.S. representatives. The answers will vary. It depends on your state. Remember to check if you were to take the citizenship test after the next election. Chances are you will have new representatives, and you want to make sure you go to house.gov, www.house.gov, or Google it. You go, who is the current U.S. representative for the state of Minnesota, for example, and you would get the answer. Or you could go www.house.gov and you would get that answer. Okay, who does the U.S. senator represent? They represent the entire state. For example, Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, those 2 senators represent the entire state, all the people of Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. Why do some states have more representatives than other states? Why do some states have more representatives, like California, Florida, Texas, Washington? It's because they have more people. The population is greater. The founding fathers wanted to have people be represented fairly, so they agreed that in the House of Representatives, there would be more representatives based on population, number of people living there. But to reconcile for states that have fewer people, where population is smaller, they agreed that the Senate would have an equitable representation to balance. So in each state, we have 2 senators, and 50 states, then we have a total of 100 senators. And this way, even the states with few people have a strong voice in government. Great idea. Okay, again, the House of Representatives has how many voting members? They are 435 members based on state population, number of people living there. Okay, a lot to review today. Again, together we learn. Join me. Don't forget to subscribe, invite friends, and hit that bell to get future notifications. And it's been nice working with you today. I hope to see you around next time. And here we go. Don't forget to email me. Don't forget to ask questions. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell for future notices, notifications, and invite your friends. And I'll see you next week. See you next week.